My name is Marcin Smietana, pronouns he, him. I'm an affiliated lecturer in the Reproductive Sociology Research Group, ReproSoc, at the University of Cambridge, where I worked as a research associate since 2014 within the field of LGBTQ+ reproduction and queer kinships. Currently, I also work part-time at Queen Mary University of London on the project on remaking the human body on professional and lay visions of biomedical imaging technologies. And finally, I'm also collaborating as an affiliated researcher with the AFIN research group at the Autonomous University of Barcelona. In my ethnographic and qualitative research, I've been looking at gay men's use of surrogacy in the UK and the US, as well as in Europe. And I've been asking the question of what queer kinships have to do with reproductive justice. And therefore, I've been working on defining what queer reproductive justice might mean, to include the reproductive realities and rights of both LGBTQ+ people, as well as those who help them have children. So following my PhD research with families created by gay men in Spain, and then my postdoc research in the US and the UK, I've also recently started looking at reproductive lives of LGBTQ people in my native Poland, hence my paper for the Reproductive Righteousness Project. So being involved in the Reproductive Righteousness Project matters to me right now because to me, scholarship can be a mode of resistance to reproductive righteousness. And unfortunately, I can see a lot of reproductive righteousness and right-wing reproductive politics around the globe right now. Anti-abortion politics that's strong right now across the Atlantic, notably in the US and Poland. Then the backlash against transgender rights, for example, in the UK. Then anti-migrant and racist attitudes and policies in several places, for example, in Europe. And so importantly to my field of research, politics that target queer and trans people's families and reproductive realities and rights in several jurisdictions right now. So in this context, I think it's very important that feminist and queer scholars build solidarities through research, activism, and anyhow. So, for example, a few weeks ago, the current right-wing government of Giorgia Meloni in Italy banned the registration of same-sex couples as parents. And it opposed to pan-European recognition of LGBTQ family rights alongside Hungary and Poland. And in Poland, it's very difficult for LGBTQ people to have children and families due to state homophobia and social attitudes that coalesce into what I called social sterilization, which is a device of unreproductive citizenship and eugenics. And the common denominator throughout these examples is that they claim to be defending family, children, and traditional family values through selective pronatalism and moral governance, as if LGBTQ people could not form families. So through that, they also claim to be defending the nation, understood in a monolithic way, therefore often linked to a set of racist and anti-migrant attitudes and policies. So to me, in the specific example of LGBTQ people in Poland that I've researched, reproductive righteousness means an assemblage of selective pronatalism, anti-colonialism, and moral governance of reproduction. That is, selective pronatalism because only heteronormative families are encouraged to reproduce. Anti-colonialism because the narratives of reproductive righteousness claim to defend the nation from foreign imposition of reproductive values that are not Polish in this case. And this is framed as anti-colonial. And finally, moral governance, because those narratives of reproductive righteousness are also religious. And in the case I looked at, they mobilize references to Catholicism. So this overlaps with the helpful definition proposed by Riza Kromer and Lea Teragin-Zeller as a familiar grammar that governs reproduction through moralizing right-wing movements and regimes. And I think one more element that's very relevant in the case of Poland that shows the definition is that reproductive righteousness is linked to a set of moral views on gender. Gender and those views on gender serve as what scholars have called a symbolic glue for all those right-wing views and policies that coalesce into this assemblage of reproductive righteousness.